chant, and it's actually a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. So I'll chant and maybe you can follow. Sri Prarada Uvacha Matirna Krishne. It's 7:5:30, yeah? 7:5:30. Matirna Krishne Parata Svatova Mito Bipadyeta Griha Vritanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punaschar Vitacharvananam Matirna Krishne Parata Svatova Mito Bipadyeta Griha Vritanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punascha Vitacharvananam Matirna Krishne Paratah Svatova Mito Bipadyeta Graha Vratana Adanta Gobi Vishatam Tamishram Puna Punascha Vitacharvanana. Sri Prarada Uvacha. Prahlada Maharaj said, Mati, inclination, na, never, Krishna, unto Lord Krishna, Parataha, from the instructions of others, Swataha, from their own understanding, Va, either, Mitaha, from combined effort, Abhipadyeta, is developed, Graha Vratanam, of persons too addicted to the materialistic bodily conception of life. Adanta, uncontrolled, gobihi, by the senses, vishatam, entering, tamishram, hellish life, punaha, again, punaha, again, charvita, things already chewed, charvananam, who are chewing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Please repeat the translation. Prahlad Maharaj replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress towards hellish condition and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused either by the instructions of others or either by the instructions of others by their own efforts or by a combination of both. Please hear the purport. In this verse, the words Matirna Krishna refer to devotional service rendered to Krishna. So-called politicians, erudite scholars and philosophers who read Bhagavad Gita try to twist some meaning from it to suit their material purposes. But their misunderstandings of Krishna will not yield them any profit. Because such politicians, philosophers and scholars are interested in using Bhagavad Gita as a vehicle for adjusting things materially. For them, constant thought of Krishna or Krishna consciousness is impossible. Matirna Krishna. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only through devotional service can one understand Krishna as he is. The so-called politicians and scholars think of Krishna as fictitious. The politician says that his Krishna is different from the Krishna depicted in Bhagavad Gita. Even though he accepts Krishna and Rama as the supreme, he thinks of Rama and Krishna as impersonal because he has no idea of service to Krishna. Thus, his only business is punaha, punas charvita charvananam, chewing the chewed again and again. The aim of such politicians and academic scholars is to enjoy this material world with their bodily senses. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that those who are Grihavrata, whose only aim is to live comfortably with the body in the material world, cannot understand Krishna. The two expressions, Grihavrata and Charvita Charvananam, indicate that a materialistic person tries to enjoy sense gratification in different bodily forms, life after life, but is still unsatisfied. In the name of personalism, this ism or that ism, such persons always remain attached to the materialistic way of life. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2:44, Bhogaishwarya prasattanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Those who are attached to material enjoyment cannot be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. They cannot understand Bhagavan, Krishna, or his instructions, Bhagavad Gita. Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamishram. Their path actually leads towards hellish life. As confirmed by Rishabdev, Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktehe. One must try to understand Krishna by serving a devotee. The word Mahat refers to a devotee. Mahat Manas Tumam Partha Daivim Prakatim Ashritaha Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Nyatva Bhutadim Avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. 9:13 of Bhagavad Gita. A Mahatma is one who is constantly engaged in devotional service 24 hours a day. As explained in the following verses, unless one adheres to such a great personality, one cannot understand Krishna. Hiranyakashipu wanted to know where Prahlad had gotten this Krishna consciousness. Who had taught him? Prahlad sarcastically replied, "My dear father, persons like you never understand Krishna. One can understand Krishna only by serving a Mahat, a great soul. Those who try to adjust material conditions are said to be chewing the chewed. No one has been able to adjust material conditions, but life after life, generation after generation, people try and repeatedly fail. Unless one is properly trained by a Mahat or a Mahatma or unalloyed devotee of the Lord, there is no possibility of one's understanding Krishna and his devotional service." Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. There's a very nice story in our Puranas that once, there lived a king and he had 4 wives. He loved all his wives, but particularly the 3 wives. His first wife was actually someone who he always adorned very nicely with rich clothing. He treated his first wife very nicely. He would decorate his first wife. He would give her the finest of robes and the finest of delicacies. He maintained her very well. He gave her nothing but the best. Then his second wife was someone who was very beautiful. And Shastras tell us that she was so beautiful that the king was very proud of having married her. So what he did was, whenever he went for royal functions, he would bring his second wife. Because it is stated in material world that the measure of a man's taste is in the beauty of the things that he keeps. So he thought that the second wife looked very nice, and therefore he would go with her wherever he went. When he had issues and problems at home in the palace, he would turn to his third wife. And that wife was like a confidant. She was very nice, she would help him, she would listen to him, she would support him and everything. But he had a fourth wife. His fourth wife was his well-wisher. She didn't expect anything from him, but she was always ready to serve him. But because she was not very good to look at, she was not very skilled in the manner of communication, and because she was very simple, she was the most neglected of all the wives. Sometimes the best things around us are the things we take for granted. And the things that are not of great value, we are running after them. So what happened was, the time came finally when the king had to die, like all of us have to die. As he lay on his deathbed, he was feeling that his time was running. And he was thinking, what is the value of 4 wives if I cannot take at least one of them with me? So he turned to his first wife and said, I have decorated you and taken care of you all my life. Can you come with me when I die? And she said, no. When you die, right, I cannot come with you. I will just be here. I will not come with you. So he was very disappointed, because sometimes in life, when you take care of someone, you care for someone. In material world, we always expect them to take care of us. It is an expectation of the material world, you know. We don't accept that just because you take care of someone doesn't mean that they will be all right with you. Especially in Kali Yuga. People are not grateful in Kali Yuga. So even if you do nice things to them, they will not do nice things to you. So he was very disappointed with the first wife. The second wife he turned to and said, you are the person I brought everywhere. Will you come with me when I die? That means you die with me. And she said, no. After you die, I'm still young. I will just remarry and I will continue with someone else. So he was very shocked. Then he turned to the third wife. You've always been my confidant. You've always been with me. Why don't you come and help me? And she said, no. Who will take care of everyone who is alive? You are going. But so many other things are here. We have to take care of those things. And so he was very upset that whole life he had given, so much time and investment he had put in. But all three of his wives did not want to do anything to come with him at all. So finally, without him asking, the fourth wife actually spoke up. And she said that I am happy to come with you. I will come with you. Because wherever you go, my duty is that I should be with you. And so the king was very surprised. And he was thinking why this wife should actually come with me. So Shastras tell us that actually all of us in truth have 4 wives. These wives represent different things in our lives. The first wife represents our body. In our lifetime, so much effort is put. We lavish so much of attention on our body. You know, we take care of it, we make sure it's presentable. It's very important to us. But we don't realize that when we die, our body cannot come with us. The body never comes with us. It's either on the funeral pyre where we are burning it, or it's put in the ground where it's gone. It cannot come with us. The second wife represents all the beauty, all the possessions, all the status and all the wealth that we have. This possession, status and wealth, we always want to show the world. We always try to wear it on our sleeve, so to speak. You know, if you have a really good watch, you know, you want to make sure it's there. You want to make sure everybody sees it, right? If you have a good car, you know, you want someone to say, I have a good car, you know. So the status that we have, the wealth that we have, the possessions that we have, they are very external. And we think they're very important. And very often we are more attached to our bank balances than we are to anything which is to do with Krishna. And when that happens, we don't realize that when we die, we can't take a single cent, a single watch, a single item with us. People may bury us with it, people may burn us with it, but it doesn't go with us. It just burns. Nothing goes with us actually. Nothing. You know, in many traditions, when people are going to die or when they are dead, people put things that they liked around them. The idea is that they will go with them to the afterlife. But there is no truth to that. Nothing goes with you in the afterlife. Sometimes you see in some traditions, people make aeroplanes and cars and this and that, and they say these things will go with him, you know. I had a law firm associate whose son passed away when he was only 13 of asthma, you know, very sudden. And on the day of the funeral, they put him in the coffin and they put ice cream tubs, you know, around him, and asked him why, because he said this was his favorite ice cream. Hopefully he can eat it when he goes there. But Shastras tell us no ice cream goes with you. Nothing goes with you. So the second wife doesn't go with you. The third wife are your family and your friends. And at this moment, they are very important to us, right? They're very important to us. And rightfully so, because Krishna is selected. We don't select our parents. Krishna selects our parents for us. We don't select our children. The children come. Children think that we have selected them, but we only know we have not selected them. We tried for them, and then Krishna gives us to them. And they also have not selected us. So we should understand that when we are born to each other or we are connected to each other, we should put Krishna in the center, because he actually selects everyone. But at the end of our life, nobody goes with us. All our relatives will stop at the doorstep or they will be at the funeral pyre. Nobody jumps in. Nobody wants to actually, right? They may say, nobody, I want to jump in, but nobody wants to. You go now, I have to carry on. That's it. So these 3 wives are all our possessions, our family, and our body. They don't go with us. The only person who goes, the only wife who goes with us is the 4th wife, and that is our Atma. Shastras tell us only our Atma is the one that actually moves. When we speak of we don't speak of this material body. We actually speak of our Atma, the self. It is the self. The only person that is going to be moving from this point to the other is the self. And the only fourth wife who's going to move with the Atma is the Paramatma. So actually the fourth wife is Paramatma. That is a very important point. Only Krishna, who is in our heart, he is the one who will move with us life after life after life. But we have forgotten him. The Atma has forgotten the Paramatma. And because we have forgotten the Paramatma, that is why Prahlad Maharaj speaks this verse. This verse is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. And who did he speak this verse to? He spoke this to his father Hiranyakashipu. Because Hiranyakashipu got very upset that he had given so much of education to him through Sukracharya's two sons. What are their names? Shanda and Amarka. Yes, they are the two sons, And they were Brahmanas, and they were teaching Prahlad not Krishna consciousness. They were teaching him Hiranyakashipu consciousness. That's what they wanted. They wanted him to pray to his father. But somehow or another, Prahlad Maharaj had heard Bhagavatam when he was in the womb of his mother Kayadu in the ashram of Narada Muni. And because he heard it when he was just an unborn child, the power of Bhagavatam is so powerful that he never forgot it. That is why in this verse and in the purport, Prabhupada says a very important point. If we really want to take up Krishna consciousness, we can only take it up if we serve the devotees of the Lord, if we serve the Mahatmas. You may do some practice on your own. Krishna is pleased with you. But if you do not extend it to serve the devotees, then you will not get taste for Krishna consciousness. This is a very important point. The secret to having ruchi, taste for Krishna, is how much you are serving his devotees. Sometimes we say, why is it that I'm doing so much of chanting and reading, but I don't have taste? Because you're not doing enough service. You're not going to the temple. You're not cleaning the altars. You're not serving the devotees. You're not even serving them prasadam because you don't come. You don't do anything. If you sit in your house and just think about Krishna, that is not sufficient. You cannot grow in Krishna consciousness. That is why the secret is that you must serve the devotees. Prahlad Maharaj had the chance of hearing from Narada Muni. And by hearing very well and accepting his instructions, he served Narada Muni. This is a very important point. Some people ask, how did Prahlad Maharaj serve? He was surrounded by demons. How did he serve? But the greatest service is to hear from the Vaishnava and follow the instructions of the Vaishnava. That is more important than anything else. Otherwise, what happens is, we do service, but we do it according to what we want. Prabhupada once asked his disciple, please bring me water. The disciple goes in and comes up with hot milk for Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, I wanted water. He said, no, but hot milk is better. Prabhupada said, this is not service. Service means what I ask from you, you should give. If you want to give what you want to give, then you are serving your senses. You're not serving mine. You see the point? So sometimes, we are caught up by the idea that I know better than you, or I'm trying to serve you, but actually I'm using the platform of I am serving you to serve my senses. I'm feeling very happy that I'm serving someone. I am not interested in actually serving what the person wants, what pleases them. You see the difference? That's why when you want to serve the Mahatma, serve in such a way that you do something that pleases the Mahatma. And all Mahatmas are very pleased when you follow Srimad Bhagavatam. When you follow and practice Bhagavatam, that is real service. And Prahlad Maharaj only had one chance to do service when he was in the womb. He had no other chance because he was surrounded by demons as he grew up. But because of that one chance of hearing and later practicing, he became blessed by Narada. This is a very subtle but very important point. Sometimes we think, how are we going to serve someone? We may be far away. But if you are reading Bhagavatam every day, you are serving Srila Prabhupada. If you are putting into practice Srila Prabhupada's purports, you are actually serving Prabhupada. And Prabhupada will reciprocate with you. If you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and you do it as a service to your spiritual master, as a service to the acharyas, as a service to Krishna, not because my father told me, my mother told me, or because somebody has told me. No, because we do it for Krishna. That service will protect your consciousness. And the proof is in the pudding. That is, Prahlad Maharaj was protected because he heard Bhagavatam and he acted on Bhagavatam. So don't just hear Prabhu's Matajis, you have to act on it. That's the whole point. That's why here Prahlad Maharaj then, so what happened then, Prahlad Maharaj was actually taught by his, by Sukracharya's sons, all the philosophy of demon thinking. But every time they taught him something anti-Krishna conscious, he would be more strong in Krishna consciousness. He never lost faith in Krishna. Even in the most difficult of situations, never lost faith in Krishna. This is a very important point. And so one day, right, when Shanda and Amarka thought that actually Prahlad Maharaj was ready, then they presented him to his father. And Hiranyakashipu put him on the lap, smelt his head, out of love, and said, "My dear son, dearest of my life, tell me what you have learned. I want to hear about what you have learned." He was going to think that now Prahlad Maharaj would stand up and glorify him. But instead of glorifying his father, Prahlad Maharaj was very straightforward. The moment he opened his mouth, he immediately told his father that what I've learned is that there are 9 processes to worshipping Krishna. Can you imagine? You are the demon, you're asking your son, what have you learned? And then the son says, I've learned how to worship Krishna, and I can tell you there are 9 processes how to worship Krishna. And he lists all of them. And the moment he has finished stating that point, he then ends by saying that if anyone follows these processes, right, they will immediately attain the lotus feet of Krishna without any desire for sense gratification. Can you imagine how angry Hiranyakashipu would have been? He was so angry, Bhagavatam tells us, that he actually, after hearing the words of devotional service from the mouth of his son Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry. His lips trembling, he spoke as follows to Shanda, the son of his guru, Sukracharya. He was angry, but he wasn't angry with his son immediately. He wanted to get angry with the teachers. So he turned to them and he said, "You are most unqualified, you are heinous, you are useless, you have disobeyed my order, and you have taken shelter of my enemies. You have taught this boy about devotional service. What is this nonsense?" That's what he says. So actually it's a great credit that he thought that Shanda was actually teaching his son devotional service, right? Actually Shanda didn't teach him anything. So now the 2 sons get very angry. They have to push back. And they say, these are not proper words for you to speak to Brahmanas. And I'll tell you one thing, Hiranyakashipu, we never taught him devotional service. We were very loyal to you. We taught all the things you told us to teach. But this boy's devotional service is already in his heart. It is spontaneous. And we cannot stop it. And it is very powerful. Why was it spontaneous? Because he heard from a Mahatma and he acted on what the Mahatma said. You see, that's why it is spontaneous. So actually even a little moment of hearing and practicing can change our lives. The question is whether we want to change our lives. That's the real question. And that is why now Prahlad Maharaj is speaking this verse. He's speaking this verse to his father. Because actually he wants to tell him this point. Hiranyakashipu said before that, he turns now to Prahlad Maharaj, "You rascal, most fallen of our family, if you have not received this education from your teachers, who have you received it from?" He's asking now, who? Prahlad Maharaj doesn't directly answer the question. He doesn't directly answer. Immediately he starts by speaking this verse today. Matirna Krishne parato swato va. This is what he's saying. He's saying that, my dear father, your senses are uncontrolled and you are addicted to materialistic life. You want to drink, you want to make merry, you want to break all the rules and regulations. And because you are actually addicted to this material life, you think you're making progress, But yes, Father, you are making progress, but you're making progress towards hell. You're making progress not towards Krishna. It's hellish. And what you're doing is nothing great, Father. You think that you are a great Hiranyakashipu, that you have broken all the regulated principles, right? And you can do whatever you want in materialism. But you don't realize that everybody before you also did this. They all wanted to enjoy the material world without Krishna. And therefore you are chewing the chewed. Sometimes we are very proud that, I have friends, I can do this, I have a good time, I have family, I have money, I have all of this. But we don't realize that the persons before us also had this. And the persons before them also had this. And the people after us also will have this. But what is the end result? Everybody dies. And all the 3 wives that they were cultivating, they also leave them. The only wife that they forgot about, and that is Krishna, only Krishna stays with them. This is what he was trying to tell his father. And that is why in Bhagavatam, we must understand that there's a difference between material progress and spiritual progress. Spiritual progress doesn't depend on material wealth, material qualifications. Spiritual wealth is a very different kind of wealth. What is the result of spiritual wealth? The real bank balance in spiritual wealth is not the money. It is the satisfaction and the peace in your heart. That is our wealth. The fact that we are peaceful in any situation. Whether we have many people with us, we have no one with us, whether we have many things with us, we have nothing with us, it doesn't matter to us. It doesn't matter. In any situation, we are just very peaceful. That is spiritual wealth. If we can achieve that, then we have come out of this chewing of the chewed. Sometimes what happens is you think that you have eaten something that tastes very nice, but you don't realize someone has chewed it. When someone has chewed something, would you like to chew it? You'll say no, isn't it? And yet every day in our lives we are doing that. We are chewing the chewed. We are doing the same things and making the same mistakes and being addicted to the same things. And we think that we are different. Everybody else is here, but I am a little different. But we are no different from every other Hiranyakashipu that came. The only difference is the Mahatma. It's the devotee who is different. Because they are very peaceful. They are hearing Bhagavatam. Like now we are just seated together. It's just a few of us. We don't need 100 people. We don't need 50 people. Even if 2 people were here and we read Bhagavatam, how peaceful will be? The peace is for us. I did not come to medicate you. I came to medicate myself. By hearing Bhagavatam, it is a medicine for me. It is not for you. I am the one benefiting. If you benefit, that is good. If you don't, it's okay. At least I am benefiting. In that mood, when we perform devotional service, we don't look for results. We don't look for externalities. We don't look for the name and the fame. These are not important things. And that's why material progress doesn't take us anywhere. Material happiness is also illusory. How long can you enjoy your drinks and your smoking and all the other breaking of regulated principles? How long? You can't. Eventually it kills you. If people think that their happiness is coming from there, then they are really in Hiranyakashipu consciousness. Because it is temporary. Hiranyakashipu thought he had everything, but he was never satisfied. Because if you are in material way of thinking, you will never be satisfied with something. Never. That is the problem with material life. So that is why here you find that the 4 wives are very important. And that's why I started with the 4 wives. What are we placing our faith on? Do we place our faith and trust and expectations on our body? Body is going to go. Do we place our expectations, our trust in our possessions and our wealth? It is going to go. Do we place our expectations and our trust in our family? They are good, but they cannot be with us always. They'll have to leave us, or we have to leave them. The only thing we can place our trust in is actually Krishna and serving the devotees. If we don't do that, then what happens is, they are, as he says here, we will never have an inclination to Krishna. Never. So this verse is actually a very powerful verse, because Prahlad Maharaj is the only verse in Bhagavatam where a devotee says that your inclination to devotional service cannot come as long as you're materially addicted to something. If you're materially addicted to something in this material world, your taste and your inclination will never be aroused. Even if others instruct you, Prabhu, please take up Krishna consciousness. Even if you yourself make your effort, or even if others instruct you and you yourself make an effort, you cannot grow Krishna consciousness inside until you stop chewing the chewed. Until you stop chewing the chewed. There was a man, who was outside of a forest, and he heard that in this forest there was so much of honey, but the honey grew in the deepest part of the forest, and it was protected by a strong swarm of bees, because bees love honey and they make honey. So the man was told that there's so much of difficulty to get that honey. Forget about it. There's so many other ways to be satisfied. But no, he wanted that honey. Have you been in situations where, your parents or maybe your wife or someone tell you, don't do this, but you're so stuck on it, so stubborn, no, I want to do it, because you think that is what is good for you. That is my enjoyment. I need it. You don't hear the good advice of others. You don't hear logic. You don't hear anything. You lose your intelligence, right? It happens to many of us. When we want something, we don't give up. And we think that will be happiness. So in the same way, this man thought that honey is my happiness. And so even though everybody warned him, and everyone gave him instructions, he said, no, let me go into the forest. The moment he jumped over that large wall, immediately he was chased by animals. And the animals were like lions and tigers, very powerful. And as he was being chased, he ran deeper into the forest. And as he ran deeper into the forest, right, this is a Mahabharata story. And Mahabharata tells us actually the moment he ran deep into the forest after being chased by the animals, as he went deeper, he saw that he was being chased by ghosts and hobgoblins. And he was in very difficult situation. So he didn't know where to go. And as he ran, right, he ran and ran and ran until he saw this huge tree. And then he realized this is the tree which actually has the hive and the honey. So what happened to him was immediately after that, he started running and running towards the tree. And just when he thought he would be able to reach the tree, he actually fell because he tripped over the branches of the tree. The branches of the tree were huge and they were standing out. So he tripped over it and he was going to fall into a deep, dark pit. But because of the very fact that the tree's branches were there and his leg got caught, his feet got caught. And so he was dangling in the pit. As he was dangling in the pit, he realized at the bottom of the pit, there was this huge serpent. And the serpent was ready to kill him, naturally. Now he looked up and he realized, that he was luckily in a situation which was precarious, but he had been saved. But then, in a little while, he got very scared because he saw rats, There were black rats and white rats. And they were gnawing into the branches of the tree, the roots of the tree. So it was only going to be a matter of time before he fell into the pit and the snake was ready. Now, as he looked on that side of the pit, the animals were there. As he looked on this side of the pits, the hobgoblins and the ghosts, they were there. And then he looked at the roots of the tree and he saw that actually they were all they were virtually being chewed away. Now, in that situation, right, he was in very difficult, precarious situation. And on top of all that, because he had caused such a disturbance around the tree, the beehive which was there taking care of the honey, they got disturbed and they came down. And I don't know whether you've been stung by a bee, but it's a very painful affair. Vishal Prabhu, have you been stung by a bee? Yeah, it's a very painful affair. So it's a very difficult thing. Even a dead bee with a live sting can cause you problems actually, right? Very painful. So the man found his face being stung by bees. He found the serpent was ready to get him. The rats were finishing off the roots of the tree. And if he somehow survived, he would be either mauled by the lions or killed by the ghosts. At that point of time, Mahabharata tells us the man was smiling. And so how is it? Arjuna asked, the question in Mahabharata, how could this man be smiling? Why was he smiling? because he realized that as he was hanging upside down, if he stuck his tongue out just for a while, that drop of honey that was coming from the tree was touching his lips and it was falling on his tongue. And whenever he tasted that honey, he thought, you know what, it's all right. It's all right. I'm being stung, animals on either side. I'm going to fall into the pit. The snake is there, it's going to eat me. But right now, I'm happy. I'm very happy. He didn't realize, that there were so many other dead men in the pit. Because like him, they had also gone there. They had also thought that, I also can taste this honey. Chewing the chewed. Everybody has gone through this experience. And yet nobody learns from it. This is the point that Prahlad Maharaj is telling his father. When are we going to learn? When are we going to come out of this cycle of let me enjoy and then later I will do Krishna consciousness? It will never happen. That's why Mahabharata tells us this honey represents the faltering and flickering and temporary happiness of this world. For a while it tastes good, but you don't realize your precarious situation around you because you're only looking at the honey. It's a foolishness, And when you see this tree, this tree is the tree of life. This is how our material existence is. The bees, they represent all the disturbances that come and hassle us just when we want a bit of honey. And then the rats, they are black rats and white rats. They represent days and nights. Because days and nights are just running. We are upside down in our life. We're in precarious situation. And yet we still think, let me do this before I do Krishna consciousness. Let me do this before I chant. Let me do this and then I'll become serious. But the rats are going to kill off the tree. The jaws of the serpent represents the jaws of death. Death is just waiting for us. And all the dead people are next to death. And we have seen everyone going. We have attended so many funerals. And yet we think mine will not come now. I still have time. I'm all right. I'm at Prem Prabhu's house. Nothing will happen to me. That's what we think. But it's not true. Again, it is not true. And the tigers and the jackals, they actually represent our family. Because they may be very nice in the beginning, but eventually they will just take so much from us that every time we see them, we better run away. Every time we see them, we better run away. That's how we feel. That's how we feel. So you can see from this very simple illustrative episode, why Prahlad Maharaj is telling his father, Father, as long as your senses are not controlled, Adanta Gobir, as long as they are not controlled, you will never have taste for Krishna consciousness. Never have taste. So then the question is, how to control the senses? You can only control the senses if you take up practice of Krishna consciousness. How to take up practice of Krishna consciousness? You can only take up practice of Krishna consciousness if you serve the devotees of Krishna. How do you serve the devotees of Krishna? By doing service. Menial service is very nice. Come to the temple, do something for Krishna. Even if you can't do anything for Krishna because you're not expert in anything, sit down and hear about Krishna. That is the greatest service. The highest service is what all of you are doing. Hearing about Krishna. This is serving the Mahatma. Believe me, all our acharyas become very pleased when we are doing these programs. Wherever they are very pleased. And they are not very far away. Because whenever we speak about Krishna, Narada Muni, all the great acharyas, they are present with us. They are present. Prabhupada went for a program where there were only a few people. And the devotees became very sad because they wanted a big program for Prabhupada. And then they said, Prabhupada, we apologize that the program is not very good because so few people came. But Prabhupada said, no, so many devotees have come. But they could not see them. Prabhupada said, Narada Muni himself is here. So we understand that whenever we speak about Krishna, all the great saintly persons, they all come. Wherever Bhagavatam is spoken, that place becomes yatra and that place becomes tirtha. That we should know. So it is not, Sumang Close or Sumang Drive or Sumang Ling. It actually becomes a tirtha. That's why we are gathered here. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanjana. Are there any questions? Any comments? Thank you, Prem Prabhu, for having us over. Very nice to see everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us. Let's chant Krishna's names for a while, and then we can end the program.